Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Real Science Exchange, the pubcast where leading scientists and industry professionals meet over a few drinks to discuss the latest ideas and trends in animal nutrition. Now, I'm off to say that the Journal Club is my favorite podcast series within the Real Science Exchange series, but to be real honest with you, it's the Legacy series. Now, Bill is the professor emeritus for the Real Science Exchange Journal Club, and he thinks he's given a journal club today. But Bill, it's not a journal club. Kind of figured it out.
I'm slow, but not that.
When'd you figure it out?
When I saw these
guys sit down. So no, we're gonna do a legacy series to kind of honor and celebrate Dr. Bill Weiss. You know, he's a great individual, has meant a lot to the dairy science industry, and so Bill, we appreciate obviously what you've done for the Journal Club, but what you've done for dairy science and for young people like young Mr. Tebbe over there, and so. Yeah, so welcome. I hope this is a nice surprise for you. You're also going to be honored here. We don't have a lot of time, but you're being honored here in about 45 minutes. Yeah, well, tell us.
As is Norm.
As is Norm, that's right. Yeah, so why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it's kind of a lifetime achievement award to the dairy industry.
Yeah.
So they're basically on all I've done for the last 40 years, kind of honoring me.
Yeah,
so
what an honor.
It's humbling.
Yeah.
So did they confuse you with your brother?
He's in bugs, not hell. So.
I'm saying, funny story. At one point, the dean of medicine at Ohio State, his last name was St-Pierre.
Is that right?
So sometimes I would get phone calls for him. At one time, I got his paycheck. That was good for the year. I said, wow.
You had to keep those coming, huh?
Yeah, God. Ron St-Pierre, yeah.
Bill, to kind of start with, I'd kind of like you to kind of give us some background of your early life. Where'd you grow up? How'd you get into dairy science? How'd you end up at Ohio State? Those kinds of things.
Born in Minnesota. Grandfather had a 30-cow dairy farm, so I helped milk cows. It was stanchion barn, bucket milkers. And my dad, who was an engineer, got a job in southern Indiana, so we moved down there. My neighbor happened to milk cows. That was about 60 cows, so every morning before I'd go to school, at 5 in the morning, I'd be milking cows. Then in high school, I wanted to stay in ag. I knew that, on science. And I never heard of nutrition. I didn't know what that was. And when I got to Purdue, they have the basic animal science class, and you have to take, you learn about all the little things. And this one professor, my advisor, said, you need to take this nutrition course, the basic nutrition, and then the next one. And I said, I don't want to do that. I want to be a geneticist. That was
Oh, really?
Until I saw all the math. I said, I don't want this. So then the chemistry, I like biochem, and nutrition is, basically applied biochem. And so that's got he offered me a associateship for a master's, finished that up, and then Dr. Conrad at OSU or OERDC, he met me at some conference. I can't remember which one, but he said, you need to think about Ohio State. So I went over and interviewed him, and he offered me an assistantship, got my PhD, stayed there a few months on a postdoc till I got my job at North Dakota State as an assistant professor. And it was a good job, but it was mostly beef, and I knew I didn't want that. And Dr. Conrad retired, and they asked me to apply, so I applied for his job.
And what year was that?
It was in, I think, 88. And I started in January 88. And so moved back in 88 and stayed there for 33 years or so. So
wow,
great place to work, great people. These guys made it fun. These guys made it fun. So.
Yeah. Well, you talk about these guys. We probably ought to introduce them. Why don't we start down with Dr. Firkins? Why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself real quick, and how did you get to meet Bill?
Well, I'm Jeff Firkins, and I grew up in northern Illinois on a farm, and we didn't actually have dairy cows, but my uncle was 2 miles away, and he did. So my dad believed in if you had to go and work really hard, you stayed out of trouble if you're a young man. It didn't work very well, but he thought it did. I guess, I started actually 1 month before Bill.
Oh.
in
Okay.
December 1987. And the first time I met Bill, we were on some kind of they had these things to orient you, and then we decided we were going to go to the Agway conference. And that's the first time I met you. And so we did a road trip in Bill's Mustang. He didn't get a ticket or anything.
Did he go fast?
Was it the old
yeah.
Mustang?
No.
Because that one you wouldn't get a ticket except
this
you
was
weren't
not that.
moving fast
This is
enough.
not that Mustang. This was a real Mustang. So
The other one, the passenger had to push the car going uphill.
yeah, that's about true. So
You do have a car fetish, though, right?
yes,
do I
do
understand?
like
Yeah.
cars.
Okay. Well,
This,
we'll
but-
talk about
But that Mustang was a graduate student can afford car. So
And so we went to the Agway conference, and I heard Norm speak for the first time, and he had everybody roaring then, and he had no gray hair then.
Well, see, I was, and I was fun then. Where now I'm boring.
Only to Adam's mom. Adam thinks you're great.
Okay, I don't think I want to meet her.
She's tough.
Well,
So, Norm, tell us about yourself and how'd you meet Bill?
Norman St-Pierre, I'm retired professor from the Ohio State University. I now have the Ohio State Danger Island campus,
Eastern Shore campus.
where we have no cows and no milk production, so it's pretty easy every day. I met Bill in graduate school.
Okay.
I have arrived in August. By the time he showed up in January,
yeah, in Columbus in January.
I could speak more than 5 words of English.
Really?
And so that had
Do you
improved.
still remember those words?
Father,
you can't. And
mother, strawberry, all of you. That was what I
and
knew.
one other one which you can't say. So we'll just move on.
And he didn't know what it meant.
It was a fun story, in fact, because see, if you apply from a foreign country at Ohio State, you have to take English test for foreign language. But they probably thought every Canadian speak English. I never took that test, and so but I didn't know how to speak English. I just knew how to read it. And my little essay that you send to graduate school, I had written it in French, gave it to somebody to translate it. I sent that out. So when I arrived, they figured out this kid's in trouble, and so they put me through 8 weeks. And in the morning, I would go ahead things like this and repeat the words and then in the afternoon, I shadowed a guy from Pittsburgh. And I'm sorry, he was saying F this and F that all the time. And I asked him, what does it mean? He said, well, it's real cool word. And that afternoon, there was a department meeting, and I'm asked to introduce myself. I said, Norm St-Pierre, and I run the F lab. So I swear, Glenn Schmidt, who was department head at the time, didn't talk to me for 2 years. He thought I'd done it on purpose. I'm not stupid. I figured out that it means something else. But yeah, so welcome to the United States. So Bill came around, and we immediately became very good friends. And it hasn't dropped ever since. We're always in touch. And so he is by far my best friend. Actually, he's the executor of my estate. So sometimes I'm worried he's going to get, well, it serves kind of an insurance because he knows that's going to be a lot of work. So he's going to give me resuscitation or something, make sure I don't pass.
The executor of your estate.
Well, the guy that dispersed the money, but he won't have that much problem there. I told my kids I'm spending their inheritance. So. Anyway, Bill.
Well, we got Dr. Tebbe down here on the end.
Yeah, so Alex Tebbe, I originally grew up in Illinois. I first met Bill in, I think it was 2014.
I can't remember.
I was interviewing for grad school positions and reached out to Jim Drakely, who was at University of Illinois. He gave me a list of names, and at that time, I was being mentored by George Fahey, and Dr. Stephen Lurch was the department head chair at University of Illinois, and I talked to him about going to grad school and mentioned Bill's name, and long and behold, they had worked together for 30 years at OARDC. So he said, you'll be an idiot if you don't go there, basically. So moved in 2016 up to Worcester and spent 4 years there working under Bill, got my master's and PhD, and worked really well together.
Yep,
So
yep, we're good students.
yeah,
so
it was
most
a
of the time.
great experience.
And I believe the
And I
last
made him
student.
retire. I'm that one.
You're the one. Burnt the bridges.
That's
or,
right.
or the
That's
boats, I
right.
guess. Yeah. Very well. I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about Bill's career and let you guys do that. Bill, I'll give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about it as well. But can you talk a little bit about his career, some of the accomplishments, the lasting legacy that he's kind of left, the stamp that he's put on this industry?
New research is changing everything we thought we knew about choline's impact on the cow and her calf, and top scientists have a lot to say about it. They are presenting new research that supports choline as a required nutrient to optimize milk production, choline as a required nutrient to support a healthy transition, choline as a required nutrient to improve calf health and growth, and choline as a required nutrient to increase colostrum quantity. This new research is solidifying choline's role as a required nutrient for essentially every cow, regardless of health status, milk production level, or body condition score. Learn more about the science that is changing the game and the choline source that is making it happen. Reassure precision-release choline from Balchem. Visit balchem.com/scientistsay to learn more.
In a nutshell, it's this. In your career, if you're in academia, you're lucky if you make one big impact. And people tend to specialize vertically and they know everything about calcium in calves. Bill is of a dying breed. They don't exist anymore. Bill has made profound impact in many areas of nutrition. His paper, 1992 paper, about how do you assess with a theoretical model to assess the energy in the feed is still cited frequently today. That was a large impact because as opposed to going and looking at data, they work first what it should be and it matched the data. So that was very profound. He's made some real contribution in both protein, a lot in trace minerals and vitamins. You don't find individuals like this anymore because most people have a life. I remember one year I'm calling Bill at Christmas time and I hear moo in the background. And I'm thinking, Bill, where are you? He said, at the barn. He said, it's Christmas. I said, yeah, I have to feed the cows. He said, don't you have grad students? Well, they had to go home. I said, but that's Bill. You know, he's been a very good mentor to his students, and he's been an extraordinary colleague.
Well, I guess I would add, to all that Norm said, Bill is really the guy in vitamins and minerals. I mean, it's hard to find somebody filling that gap. And it's kind of sad about that, but it's just the way it is.
It's sad that it's only him.
Yeah.
Not it's sad that it's him.
Yeah.
Right.
But, I'd just say one thing personally. Bill and I were on different campuses, but it never was that way with us because if I would design a study, almost every one, I always worked it out through Bill. And he talked to me quite a bit first. He was just a great colleague all that way. Everything from how do I design the diet or, analyze treatments or whatever. And of course, Norm was great for that. And then I'd also say, like, I was the one that wrote him the letter for this award. I didn't write yours, obviously. He
I know, because I wouldn't get it.
Yeah. But it was super easy because, like, I borrowed from, other people that wrote really nice things. I would like to say Rich Erdman, who co-chaired NASEM with Bill, and I was on. And folks, Bill did so much on that committee, you just can't imagine. Nobody did anything approaching the amount of work that Bill did. But he had a story that I was able to use, and he goes, well, you see, Bill is kind of like Sergeant Joe Friday on Dragnet. Just the facts, ma'am. And that really summarizes him. He and I used to teach in Costa Rica, and everybody would just go to here because it was just the facts. Here's how much selenium they need here. And, and when Bill spoke, it was just like that was all you needed. That was the fact. Everybody took it that way. He was just that, always that way. Everybody appreciated the amount of effort he went in, and when he said it, it was right.
Thing that some people should learn through also that Bill always had. You can have the most elegant theory. You can have the most complex model. If the cows don't agree, it's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Bill, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of, reflect on your career, maybe some of your colleagues, maybe some good stories you may have about them. Yeah, because they may tell some stories about you.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, yeah, I got a good one.
there's a few
Just
other off
remember.
limits, guys. You know which ones. Yeah. Well, like I said, I did a lot with both these guys, even though we were 100 miles apart. They helped me a whole lot we were on a lot of papers together, a lot of ideas. We probably would have been more productive if we were on the same campus, because then you talk a lot more, but we talked a lot, and it was a very good group, and other people that aren't here right now. And when you got good people that stimulate your thinking, the last thing we did, which to me was the most interesting thing I did in my career, was this variation stuff. And I remember Norman and I were sitting at an ADSA meeting, and somehow we started saying, what's the cost of variation, or what does it do? Because everybody says, no, cows die if you vary anything. And then we wrote a big grant. It was funded on the first round, which is a little unusual. And that we learned stuff there that I would never thought was the way it is. And it would have never happened without Norman. And Jeff and I did some early in the career well, he did the work. I just helped a little bit on all this kinetic stuff. Do you remember all that stuff you did?
Yeah.
And I would have never done that without him. So it's been a really good and working agreement. And and then they're also nice guys. So it's not just, they're not just smart. They're also very nice guys. So
Yeah. So Alex, research is part of Bill's job, or a professor's job, but also mentoring students is another aspect of it. Would you mind kind of sharing your thoughts related to that, and not just your experience, maybe what you saw in general about Bill's style and kind of some of the competence he brought to the story, brought to the table.
Yeah, one of the things I always remember about Bill, I mean, Norman hit on it. He was one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my career, and no matter what he was doing, he always had time for his grad students. He'd stop everything he's doing to help mentor him. One of the things I remember, I wanted to kill him at times. We used to have these, what I called like grill sessions every Friday, like leading up to my exam. He would pull me in his office and ask questions till I wanted, to just leave, basically.
Right.
But to this day, I am so thankful that I went through all of that stuff, and being able to think through problems and prepare for the next question, for my role in the field too. That's really been influential. But also my public speaking ability. Bill's always been somebody that can speak on any level of science and to any audience. I feel like he does a great job of explaining at their level. That's one thing I've really picked up from him as well, is just how to speak to the audience. You're giving the facts, as you mentioned. So
Yeah.
Just the facts, ma'am.
just the facts.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you guys have much of an insight into Bill's, mentoring capacities and teaching?
No, not in mentoring and teaching. I have more of an insight on his driving capability.
Okay, yeah, let's hear about that.
Well,
Is that one of the off-limit ones?
I wish it was.
No, that's not.
we're in grad school, and somebody was getting married in Buffalo, and so we drove together. At the time, I had a little MG car, but kind of old little car, British car. We came back. I was tired. I asked him, "Can you drive?" Yep. And it started pouring rain. You would think the British, of all people, will know how to make a car with decent wipers. They did not. So anyway, Bill is driving. There was a real tricky curve. Never went. We just went straight. We're in the field. The car looks like a banana.
Did he try to turn?
Oh yeah, he did. But
Probably,
so I've been
this is a
teasing him.
90-degree turn.
It was 90 degrees.
I
And,
might
and
have made 70
the
degrees.
other part is there used to be a sign saying maximum 15 miles an hour. The sign had been torn down, so you didn't know. So it's. But anyway, we're in the field, and the car looks like a banana. And the very first thing push the button and say, "Well, the radio still works." and then he tries to open the door and he looks. He said, "I don't think it's drivable." So
Is that when you got your ultralight?
my ultralight.
He used to fly from Columbus to Worcester on an ultralight.
I did that once. I did that once. Got lost it, landed in somebody's backyard.
Should have followed 71. No.
Yeah. But anyway, the thing with there's a lot of I have to tease Bill about this because it's been going on for all these years, and he has plenty of stories to tell about me also. But there was another time also we were in grad school, and our assistantship, mine was in Canadian dollars, and it was dropping every month because the Canadian dollar was dropping, and so things were really tight. And there's one thing in grad school you don't cut. It's your beer budget.
Yeah.
And so we're running pretty thin on money for food. And so there was some kind of little contest, which was mostly undergrad. We made a team of graduate students. They had to run around with a baseball bat and something. We finished second. The first team got a trophy and something. We got 20 gallons of ice cream. Lunch for the next month. And so we bought some peanuts and so every day at lunch, ice cream, peanut on top. We're approaching the end of the month now. And so the peanut bowl is about this big, and his advisor, and he was on my committee, Dr. Conrad, comes about and he sits on the desk and he starts talking to us and he's eating our peanuts. and we think, this is our lunch, and we can't say a thing. So we've had a lot of good moments and fun things to say. Professionally, all I will add is, ways it was unfortunate during my time at Ohio State. I was on the Columbus campus.
Yeah.
Bill was on the Worcester campus. It's about 90 miles in between. It's 3 time zones away. and because of that, we didn't collaborate as much as we would have if we had been in the same building somewhere, and that would have amplified both our collaboration.
Yeah. One of the things that you said early on, and then what you said on Sunday night, you referred to Bill as your best friend.
Absolutely.
And so I'd kind of like to maybe let's talk about Bill as a person, maybe not just as a scientist, but what makes Bill kind of special as a person, deserving of being a best friend?
Bill has no malice. He's very frank, which sometimes some people take it aback a little bit because frankness sometimes is perceived as being abrasive. He's not abrasive. He will just tell what it is, and especially when it comes to science. But after that, beyond that, if you're a friend, it's unconditional.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a very likable person. What can I say? He has to be. And he's my best friend, and I would go to hell for him.
Yeah.
And likewise, he would, well, maybe not to hell. And he teases me about my friend and everything. So.
Yeah, I think, Bill would give the shirt off his back. I'd probably have to iron it first.
Probably so.
But I'd say that's how it was. If you really absolutely needed something, he'd absolutely be there. And one of the things about Bill, he was really a great mentor on grad student committees, like Alex is, but he was on a bunch of others. He was very steadying and always very calm and all that. But one of the things I always remember in Costa Rica, he's sitting there. I'm like giving a presentation. Here's this laser pointing going all over the place, and here he is, like a little kid. There's a part of him that if you got to be a friend, you got to see the little kid that popped out. And of course, then it was my job to try to make it pop out as much as I could. So.
You did quite well. So.
Now, he has a major fault. He has a supreme major fault. He loves golf.
Yeah.
So how can a smart human being go along and walk miles, because the way he plays, he's going to walk
I
miles,
won't argue that.
to go and hit a little old ball with a ill-designed club, and you love it.
Yeah. I guess he just
Unlike
likes
sailing,
exercise.
where you drown if you screw up. So.
But at least the pain is pretty short-lived. You go through 18 frickin' holes of pain.
I know you took me on Chesapeake Bay once, and I swim, but not a lot. So, and these waves are, the boat's about like this. I've got more life jackets on me than you got on the boat. And you're doing, this is great. God. Never again. So
Well, I figured out you were expendable. We need bait for the crabs, you know.
Does does he drive a boat better than you drive a
To
car?
bait the crabs.
well, he did hit the dock once. So
I did. The dock moved.
Oh. Alex, haven't given you a lot of chance to talk. I know you're enjoying the stories down here, but did you have any good Bill stories?
Ooh, yeah.
That you can tell.
That I can tell. You know, one of the things I kind of enjoyed it at the end. Bill is he always worked in the quiet, but if you kind of snuck up behind him at the right time, he'd really screech out behind him. So it would be Saturdays, and we're both working, and I purposely would pop in, kind of scared in the back there, but. No, that was a lot of the frequent ones there, and I always remember this story too of he had just gotten this Porsche, and we took it out to the dairy, and it was more of like a fond memory. He took it out to the dairy, and on the dairy on the way out there, there's a couple of hills that we took over, and we really hit the throttle pretty hard to go get blood samples with crap on our shoes, get back in his Porsche, and then drive it back to the lab.
well,
So I thought I was pretty cool for a grad student.
I could hit 100 miles an hour on this one straight away. But
Oh, this has been a lot of fun, guys. But I think, Bill, we got to get you off to a party here pretty
Okay,
quick.
well.
Yeah, you have to go and tidy up.
Yep.
so, this is as tidy as it gets. So.
You look pretty good in the tie. So do you, Norm. You look.
Well,
the governor.
I wear a tie for weddings and funerals, and nowadays it's a whole lot more for funerals. So I don't know whose it's going to be today.
Yeah.
Well, I got this tie. It only took me 4 times, so I'm doing quite good. So.
And it doesn't have a cow on it.
No, it
I
does
didn't know
not,
you
so.
had the tie without a cow on
This
it.
is it.
Yeah. Before we wrap things up, you guys, anything else you want to share?
If you have a chance, and if you ever hear Bill talk, the thing about Bill, if he told you something is like this, take it to the bank.
Yeah.
It's there. It's solid. And so he's a good point of reference. On the map, Bill is that. I've always used them, bounce something on him, and if Bill said, no, that's what it is, then I take it to the bank.
Yeah.
Well, good friend, and he's the gold standard for scientific integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Now, you would think, he served on the NRC 2001, right?
NASEM.
No, that was NRC.
2001.
That was,
2001.
And that's where I'm going. That is, if you get beaten for 4 years, you would think you learn. You don't go back there, right?
Right.
No, he did.
Right.
you get old enough, you start forgetting things, though. So.
Well, I
wouldn't
think
know
that's
about that.
That's the point you made the other night. He may be the only individual that's ever done it twice, right? Is that
No, there was a
And
couple.
Rich.
Rich did it twice, and
okay?
Yeah, but
no one's ever done it 3 times. So they're smart enough to learn that. So.
You gonna do it 3 times?
No, I'm not. That you can take to the bank. So.
well,
Very
thank you, Scott. I think it's admirable
Yeah,
that
thank
your
you for
company
doing this.
recognizes the contribution of
Oh,
this unique individual
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. What I'd like to do, I'd like to wrap it up with having you guys just kind of give one point to the audience. Kind of like to start, and Bill, I will give you an opportunity, but let's start down there with Alex. Maybe just kind of a couple key points you want to share with the audience about Bill.
Tonight's last call question is brought to you by Niasure Precision Release Niacin. Niacin is a proven vasodilator for heat stress reduction and a powerful antilipolytic agent for lowering high blood NEFA in transition cows. Protected with Balchem's proprietary encapsulation technology, you can be sure it is being delivered where and when your cows need it. Learn more at balchem.com/Niasure.
Yeah, with Bill, I mean, as we kind of hit on multiple times, he's really, his contributions to the industry, just a huge breadth of different things related to nutrition that guys like myself in the field use every day and not even realize it. But he's also a wealth of knowledge that really going to miss him, we need more people like him.
Yeah.
That it's going to be tough to ever fill his shoes.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff?
Well, I guess I would leave the message. There's a whole lot of things inside of like NASEM and so on that you don't know where they come from because there are hardly any data. And Bill had the ability to search through and find things and develop ways to make whether it's an equation for different minerals, how much you need without overdoing it, and so on. And all that is really sourced back to him. There's just so much that people don't know. They design a diet or whatever, and really it's him that's in the underpinnings of a lot of what we do. Even not if you don't use the NASEM model, but some others, they're still built on a lot of that from him because the trace minerals and vitamins, it's just so much of that is Bill's doing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Norm?
The world is driven by energy. Energy is the hidden currency behind everything that we do, and it's the same thing for a cow. These days, it seems that after 10 years, people don't read something more than 10 years old. Everybody should go and read his 1992 paper because it explains in a structural way how we think from the digestive process in the cow, how she extracts the calories that she needs to make a living. And it will serve as an example in the future as you try to think how things work. Work out first the structure, then ask the data to parameterize it, not the other way around. That paper, to me, I will read it about every 5 years, and every time I find something new into it. That was a contribution in the world of dairy science equivalent to the major contributions that we have seen by humankind.
Yeah, well said. Bill, I haven't known you all that long, just a few years, but I've come to respect you, come to love you, appreciate you.
Scott, you're probably glad it was a lot easier to get him here this year.
Well, it was a lot. Didn't have to drive near as far.
And thank you again for doing that. So.
One of the things as accomplished as you are, I guess the one thing that I've noticed is you're just extremely humble about it, right? And you're just Bill, and yet you're one of the giants in the industry, and there's something admirable about that. And so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I want to give you an opportunity to just say a few words, if you'd like, to these guys, to your fellow professors out there, students.
Well, this was a very humbling experience, so thank you for doing it. These are three of my favorite people.
Yeah.
Even graduate students. You were my second favorite student, I'll tell you that one. So very, very good. And like I said, I've enjoyed working with all these. I've enjoyed working with you the last few years. This is a great industry. The science is great. I've enjoyed almost every minute I've been at work. So, I'm glad I'm retired, and I was ready to retire, but I was one of the fortunate few. I loved Monday as much as I loved Friday because I just loved to work, and people like this is what made it that way.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Well, we better let you get off. Congratulations again on your award tonight, and well deserved. So appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Yeah, and your award. We'll wait until Thank you, guys, and thank you to our audience.
Well, thank you, Scott. For
Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated.
Very welcome. Yep. You got cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to Bill.
Well, we're gonna cling.
Virtual clink.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for joining us here. We hope you learned something. Hope you had some fun, and I hope to see you next time here at the Real Science Exchange, where it's always happy hour and you're always among friends. Cheers.
We'd love to hear your comments or ideas for topics and guests, so please reach out via email at anh.marketing@balchem.com with any suggestions, and we'll work hard to add them to the schedule. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating on your way out. You can request your Real Science Exchange t-shirt in just a few easy steps. Just like or subscribe to the Real Science Exchange and send us a screenshot along with your address and t-shirt size to anh.marketing@balchem.com. Balcom's Real Science Lecture series of webinars takes place on the first Tuesday of every month, with the top research and nutrition topics that will impact your business. We also include small ruminant, monogastric, and companion animal-focused topics throughout the year. Visit balcom.com/realscience to see the upcoming topics and to register for future webinars. You can also access past webinars and search for the topics most important to you.